Hi, this is Professor Eric Westers. We're back, marketing management. And for those that weren't here, we're missing one person. They did not get to see the secret thing that I'm not putting on there. So you can ask about it, but you missed it. But we are still going to cover some really good stuff. So let's share the screen. Okay. So where are we? We talked about the company. We started talking about marketing last time. Market segments, targets. This time we're going to talk about some decision-making, customer behavior. There's a lot more in customer behavior in the book and the slides. We don't have time to cover all of it. But that's where we are. Every week you take this idea that we come through and you apply it for 50 points to what I'm calling a case study, but it's really just part of your draft. You work on a different part of your draft plan every week. Then by Sunday, you go out and you make sure to talk about it, hopefully earlier. By talking about it, you mean you tell me what you think is important about what you did, what you're concerned about, and you ask for help. If somebody wants to give you advice right there, cool. I don't give points for that advice there, but you're welcome to give each other advice. But by Monday, you have to actually take some advice. And you have to tell me what the advice is, where you got it from, and what specifically you're going to change on your plan because of that advice. So this is all related to your plan. I applied it, I talked about my application, not something else, my application, and I got advice and that made me change my application. Make sense? Okay, so where's the idea? What we know is that people that have strategies are more successful. So if you want to be more successful, does it make sense to have a strategy? Kind of does, right? So if you're going to have a strategy, it doesn't do any good unless everybody knows about it. So you write a plan. This plan should start with your customers, not you, your customers, and what it is that you want to do. Who are you going to help? How are you going to help them? How are you going to know? So that's the impact. But then after you figure out what you're going to do with the customers, you have to talk about you. To say, here's why you need to come to me or else you don't get business. All right, so first the customers, then you. Then you need to start putting together a team to execute the plan. Because all the top companies have an excellent strategy well executed. If you look at Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, they have excellent strategies well executed. However, most companies that aren't there don't have a strategy. And of those that have a strategy, only 10% of those that have a strategy can actually execute it.
What's the main difference between vision and strategy? I know strategy is a long-term plan, more, it's a different aspect.
It's like vision is like if you can see some the car makers like they bring some like concept for the 2020 or 2030. It's like long. It's like far away. It's highly extremely.
Strategy is far away, by the way.
No, vision is like it's like the last light in the tunnel. But the strategy is like more applied. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I asked him.
Well, this is one of the things we're going to go over again today because we're reviewing. But the key is this. So I have a background in the military. And the way we viewed his strategy is, what are the most important battles to fight and why? Can't do everything for everyone, but what's important? Where do we want to go? For example, one thing that was very important to us was emergency management. Hurricanes, hunger, disease were very important to us. Well, you can't focus on everything. What are you going to focus on and why? What are you going to focus on and why? That's where we viewed strategy. So you're going to focus on being able to get there fast? Are you going to be focus on getting there with lots of stuff? Are you going to be able to focus on rapid response? You're going to be focused on, what are you going to focus on and why? Now, once we figured out what we were going to focus on and why, we gave it to people called operations. And operations said, well, if you're going to do these things, then you have to have these tools, systems, processes in place. So they created all the infrastructure, the training to be able to execute those strategies. At which case we turned to tacticians who could take all that stuff and execute the strategies on a day-by-day, moment-by-moment basis. So tactics was, the way we looked at it was, strategy was, what battles are we going to fight? And tactics was, well, how are you going to fight those battles? When you get there, how are you going to do it? So the way I kind of look at it is, the strategy was all about why was the most important characteristic. The operations was all about how. And tactics was all about what. What are we going to do? You gave me these helicopters, these mobile communications, and these big containers of different sizes that I can put with things. What am I going to put in it? Am I going to put water purification? Am I going to put air control? Am I going to put construction people? What am I going to do? Because you always have these choices. But if you know what your strategy is, then it's much clearer on what choice you're going to make. So there's do you have an idea or do you have activity? Tactics, lots of activity without a strategy. I mean, stuff gets done. It might not get you where you want. It might not be there. On the other hand, an idea without action is just an idea. So that's how I looked at it. So strategy wasn't as much of a plan as it was a clear of identification of what's important and why, and what things we were going to focus on, which is, I think, what you need to tell your marketing team. Why is that important? What do you think the number one reason it's important to tell your marketing team that what's important to you? Why do you think?
The marketing team?
Yeah, why is it important to tell them your strategy?
Again, the question is not clear. What you said?
Why do you think it's important to tell your marketing team
About?
your strategy?
Because they're gonna make it match with you're gonna be both of you on the same page. Like, at least you work together, not against together.
Mm-hmm.
As if you are all riding the same boat.
Well, the question is, do you want to do this all yourself? How far do you think any of us can get ourselves?
Alone?
Yeah.
Not so far.
There's a saying somebody says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, I know that. Nice one.
If you want to go with everybody or alone? Well, if you are telling everybody what's important, when and why and how, and constantly going around and telling that, then you're essentially going alone. And they're just drones. So you're not using the value of your people. But the more you can tell them what's important and why, the less you have to do. You can focus on more things because they know. That's the biggest problem when companies get big, is you lose that personal thing and things get disjointed and they're not working together anymore. Okay? All right. So values. Values help your team execute that strategy when you're not there, because it includes both strategy and it includes the actions which define that. For example, imagine that emergency situation we talked about. Do you rescue people from danger? Do you feed people? Can you imagine how much stuff goes down in an earthquake when people are really hurting? How much stuff, everything needs to get done. People need water, they need medical care, they need roads, they need houses rebuilt. If you just said, go do what's important, and you picked that you wanted to go work on houses and you wanted to start a hospital, and Marcelino wanted to start bringing food or water, and you wanted to go starting search and rescue, looking for recovery, what's most important? Well, without some thought process in there, it becomes really difficult. Same with your team. Okay? Segments. You're telling strategically who's important to go after. So you said, look, here's our overall strategy. In executing the strategy, I'm going to give you some guidelines to help you make decisions, and I'm going to tell you who we're going after. And usually say, I want you to tell me who we should go after first, giving these guidelines. And so the target market is who you're going to start with. Once you have a target market, you're going to make it easier for your target market to understand your value based on what they already know. Because you may have a big education process for them, especially if you're new, but you're going to make it easy by doing a shortcut. Okay. So marketing, positioning is one of your messaging really, but now you're going to have to tell people things in ways that make sense to them. So your message has an impact, and I'll tell you what doesn't have an impact is facts, slogans. Are they important? Sure, taglines are important, but if you think all you're going to do is go out and tell people, tagline, just do it. I mean, is that important in Nike's strategy? Yes. Is that all that's important? No. No. What shoes do our target markets want? Where do we deliver them? What are we going to do? There's a lot more in there. So the messaging is important. Where you send that messaging is very important because different people listen to different things in different ways. Okay. The mix is how you're going to order what those messaging says. Because different groups have different ideas on what's important. So your job is to give them what they need. The problem is it's so hard to find out what you need. With everybody screaming information, 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 you are going to ignore most of things whether you really like it or not. You just naturally are going to filter out things. So wouldn't it be nice if in this world you only got what you needed when you needed it and you said thank you for that information? Well, we can't do all of that yet, but we can sure cut through a lot of crap and say, you're not my customer. Cool. You're my customer. Fantastic. Glad we found each other so easily and so fast. So when you think about this, is marketing isn't for you as much as it is for other people. Okay, so that's what we talked about last time. So here's where we are. We got the name, company name. This time we're adding in the marketing management plan purpose. Okay. So what's the week assignment? Listen to the lecture, watch the videos, put some really good videos. We're going to watch one today. PowerPoints, supposed to read chapters 4 and 5. You should know those.
This is week 3 or week 2?
Oh, sorry. I just copied that from, I forgot to change. It's 3. Because otherwise it would have said chapters 2 and
4
3.
and
Yeah.
5. Yeah.
So, plan purpose. Ensure people who are going to read your plan know that they should read it. Oh, this is for me. They should understand the plans for them, and they should understand what they're going to get out of it before they read it. Wouldn't you like that? It's just paper. How many people like to read plans and reports? Most people don't, right? So if I tell you one, the first thing I want you to know is, yeah, this is for you, and here's what you're getting out of it. So what are the pieces? Who? For example, I give you an example, and this is just copied right out of the case study. So this is the same thing that's posted in there. This plan is for all members of the marketing team. Does yours have to be that? No. Your plan could be for investors or for the C-level executives of the company or for only, I don't care. I want you to think through who the plan is for. Second, write down why. The purpose of here's an example. The purpose of this plan is to streamline decision-making so that we are able to respond to changing situations as fast as possible. I just made that up. What's your purpose? Whatever you want. This plan is our investors so they can help us fit a financial strategy. I mean, I don't care. Could be to your bankers, could be to your marketing team, could be this. Is this making sense to people? So I want you to own the idea of the plan. I want you to understand when we talk about a plan is a set of values, strategy, tactics, whatever. It depends what kind of plan it is. This is a strategic plan, so it's basically your marketing strategy. And what? After reading this plan, marketing team members should be able to make as many decisions as possible without requiring management intervention. I just made that up. But it's an example of what I want. I want, who's this plan for? So the person what I'm grading you on is, would the person reading it know it's them? Okay?
Regarding the marketing plan, I just want to understand what is the context of this marketing plan. For example, do I need to? I said the brand's story and I finished until the last assignment. And then I want to plan my marketing plan. So I need to, for example, to have a plan who to buy to and when, and to make this campaign and to put this media message. This is the plan that you are talking about currently?
Yes. What you're writing this whole plan, I would have put this first, but I didn't think you guys would understand it. There's too much in there. So this is really going to be this is the company name. Here's what we do. Here's a plan.
We started planning already.
Right.
That's right, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this is just conveying to the people who are going to read your plan whether the plan is for them, why you're writing the plan, and what they're going to get out of reading the plan. That's it. You're taking the work that you're done and you're going to continue to do, and you're just writing one short thing so that when the people pick that up, in reality, they go, oh yeah, this isn't for me. Oh yeah, this is for me. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, here's what I'm going to get out of it. Like you wouldn't put, here's some words I've written for somebody I don't quite knew what, and if you read it, you'll get lots of information about stuff. That's not a very good plan, right? So I just want you to be clear in your own mind of why you're writing that plan. And I'm not grading you on who your plan is for. I'm not grading you on why you're writing your plan, and I'm grading you on what they're going to get out of it. What I'm grading you on is your ability to communicate your idea for who the plan is for, why you're writing the plan, and what they'll get out of it. You agree, if they're the boss, if you're the boss, everyone's looking at you for direction. This is your direction to your team. Now, if you've seen, I broke a lot of this stuff up into that Trello board and Slack and some other tools, but I'm doing that same thing. So I'm the chief operations. So I'm the one putting all the things together and making them flow. So when I set up what's the thing with Trello board? Why am I doing the Trello board? I had to tell people who the board's for, how it works, what you're going to get out of using the board. Well, why use that? We already have Slack. Same thing. You have to be very clear on why you're doing stuff, who it's for, and what they're going to get out of using it. Here's what you're going to get out of our Slack channels. Here's what you're going to get out of the Trello board. Does that make sense to everybody? So just think of this as coming on we're putting it in later, but at the final version in week 7 and 8, this is going to be more at the top. So I'll be asking you to write it down, just those 3 things. Who's the plan for? Why are you writing the plan? What's its purpose? And what is the person going to know, have, understand after they read the plan than before?
So who can it be to 2 different streamlines?
Yes.
Subordinates and CEO, for example.
Yes.
Or top management.
Absolutely. Whoever you want. You can even put those both in one sentence for CEOs or you can put who's this for? CEOs, blah, blah, blah. Your choice. I just want you to have more than, here's some words I wrote because a professor told me I had to.
So are we going to maintain the same thing like the company setup? Should we still use the same company name on each assignment, or can we change it, or should we still maintain the same company name?
You can change it, but you can change it, but it's like retroactively going back to the beginning.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want. I'm going to read the final version, and you know how I'm grading it. I'm grading the final version just like more. You can change anything you want. This is a draft. Everything we're doing is a draft. I'm not grading you so much on language or references at this moment. What I'm grading you for is on ideas. On the final version, I'm going to say, so I'm just looking for you to create a document with these headings, plan, purpose, and just answer this question. So I don't need, well, Google says a plan is for, in this day, I don't need you to give me detailed descriptions of what a plan is or why, unless it really fits your communication to others. Well, this person says planning is this, and I agree. That's why I've written this plan. That makes sense. But it doesn't make sense to give me a lecture about, the origin of planning back from the Peloponnesian Wars moving forward. Does this make sense? Do you feel like you own this now? It just, anytime you release a document, you should make it easy for people to understand if the documents are there, why it's important, and what I'm going to get out of reading this document. By the time you read this document, you'll know how to assemble the Lenovo 2830 stove by yourself. Great. So I know I don't want to do that. I don't need to read this plan, or I do. Does that make sense to everybody? Feel good about it? All right, step 2. I'm going to ask you about your objectives. These are marketing objectives. These are the objectives you're going to tell your team. I want these objectives to be clear enough that they know where they're going. So what are some objectives you could have as director of marketing?
To answer this question, this is a part of the first question that I just asked. So when you were talking about a marketing plan now, and I'm talking to my subordinates.
Yeah, remember this is a marketing management plan, so it includes the marketing, includes any other things. But yeah.
Okay.
So the market, the message, and the media, that's the core of the marketing plan. Just so you know, this has more than that.
So if I want to give a message to my subordinates about my marketing plan and what is my
if that's what the purpose of the plan is, yeah.
So because you just answered me, you told me that this plan is what we already built in the past weeks. And
that you're continuing to build, yeah.
Yeah.
Add and remove.
Yeah, this is just kind of confusing because this really should have been in week 1. Just this piece. The rest of it is just continuing on right where you left off. I just thought if I hit that to you, go, I don't really understand what you're doing. I felt like you needed a couple of weeks to kind of understand what we're doing before I put that on there, but it is important. So just give me an example of an objective. If your team says, boss, what are we doing this year? What would you tell them? That's all this is. What would you tell them? What are you doing?
I would tell them that we need to focus on this specific category or this specific
Okay,
product.
so by the end of the year, we're going to own this category.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's better is to be a little specific now on what own that category means. Because I'm not sure, what do you want me to do? Own this category. I like it. I like what, boss, I love what you're telling me. I'm not quite sure when I go back to my office. You don't have to tell me how to do it, but how do I know when we've owned it? What does that mean?
So, yeah, so it means that we will prioritize our categories, and we'll take this specific category in this specific quarter, and we will do these campaigns to hit this.
Okay, but they kind of know that. They kind of know that if I'm the social media guy, I know to start thinking, oh, I'm going to need social media to own that market. But what does owning that category mean? Does it mean you have the largest market share? Does it mean you have a specific market share? Does it mean you're the first ones to have a product in that category? See what I mean? Because now, oh, okay, you want us to own 50% or have the largest? Okay, I know what I need to do now. Oh, we need to be the first ones to get that in stores or get this in this market in this country. Okay, now we're on track. So you don't have to tell them how to do it. That's why you've hired a lot of smart people that can figure out all this stuff. But they kind of need to know, where am I going? Oh, to put this, okay, number one, I got it. What else? Somebody else give me another example. Doesn't need to be what's going to be in your plan. Just give me an example. What's
Again, the question.
what is a marketing objective? Boss, what do you want us to do? What are we going to do this year? That's an example. What would you tell them?
We're gonna open a new branch in Europe.
Okay, open a new branch in Europe. All right, I know what that means. I don't know how to do it yet. I don't know everything involved, but I know what that means. I can get started on that. I can start doing something right now. We'll have meetings and we'll figure out how to do that. I like it. What else? Give me another.
Increase customer satisfaction.
Okay, I like that, but what does that mean?
Yeah,
I love it, increase customer satisfaction, but aren't we doing that already? Don't we do that? What do you mean?
just to motivate the team to kind of work more on customers' complaints and ensure that all their complaints are being sorted out. And again,
Okay, I'm not sure. I love everything you're saying, but I'm not sure what you want me to do as your employee. Okay, if you were just to give me the goal and I was your customer service expert, but what do you want me to do as your expert here? You told me you want to increase customer support. I love that. That means I've got a job for next year. I love that. What do you mean? Let me give you an example. Somebody help her. You're her support team here.
It's like if you want to increase the customer service, it's like go through the feedback from the customers and it's like pick the point.
Don't tell me what you're going to do. That's tactics.
Tactics.
I love tactics, but this isn't a tactical plan. Somewhere someone's going to have to write that out. In fact, the people who read the strategy plan are going to have to turn that into tactics.
So now in strategy level.
Strategy little. So one thing you can include is how you're going to increase customer satisfaction. The other is how you're going to know when you got it.
Oh, yes, this is my point. I think it misses a number, and you need to say, for example, that I need to increase it with this specific percentage.
It could be. No, you can. That is completely valid to say we want to increase it. So we want to increase our survey ratings, our reviews from 4-star to 5-star. Or from 4-star to 4, you could say that. Or you could say, you could measure customer satisfaction in terms of retention. So you can use percent. It doesn't have to be a number, but it has to be something that you can know. Because if you say, oh, we're going to increase customer support, everybody will go, okay. What else are we going to do? Use higher quality. Okay, what else? We're going to treat our employees better. Okay, what else? So that just becomes this long list of stuff that never gets done because there's no real strategy other than saying, what you're really saying by just saying that is, wouldn't it be nice if the world was good? Yes, it would be. It would be nice if customers were happy. What do you want me to do about it? It would be nice. You know, it would be nice if we were everywhere. What do you want me to do about it? Oh, put an office in. Okay, now.
Customer services, the way you said you attend to customers.
Yeah, I just need you need to give me as your employee or other people's employee what that. How do I know? You can put we increase customer service through. You could say how you're going to do it strategically. We're going to train our customer service better. We're going to increase our training to improve. You don't have to, but that's one option. You could talk about how because I need to focus on training. But it's better if you say what you mean by increase.
So that's it. The increase.
Or you could even say we're going to put in a means to measure it. So you say by the end of the year, we're going to have a means to measure our customer satisfaction. That would be good because if you have a means to measure it that works, check. If you already have a means, okay, do you want me to do something different when that means, or do you want me to just increase the numbers somehow?
The customer service, you can measure it by compare the number of your customer between the years. It's like when you start applying a new policy for the customer service or regulation.
There's a lot of ways to measure. You can measure customer engagement, how many likes, comments. You can measure customer retention. You can measure surveys. Yeah. So, for example, Walgreens Pharmacy had a goal to measure convenience. So you can do that through surveys. But what they found out, the ultimate measure of convenience was profit per visit at a pharmacy. They didn't know that when they started, but once you figure that out, so it may be we're going to figure out a measurement or figure out a way to.
Yeah, her idea is great. Like
customer service is important, but realize what we talked about last time. Do you remember we talked about 3 customer things you can focus on for the customers? Anybody remember what those were? Yeah, we said when somebody says, I'm going to be a great company, what kind of company are you going to be? We mentioned 3 categories of companies. Anybody remember one of them?
LLC, B Corp.
No, those are entities. Operational excellence.
You write 3 cycles, like an overlap between them. That's different thing. You write 3 cycles and overlap between them. That's different thing.
No, that was branding. Helped with your brand. This is operational excellence. So what that means is you're going to get your processes so much better that either you deliver better quality, better speed, better price, cheaper. You're saying, like Southwest Airlines, we talked about is really about operational excellence. Because what they do is turn an aircraft around in 17 minutes instead of 45. Now, because of that, they do more flights and they can do a lower price. But the core of what they do is cut out all the frills, use the same kind of aircraft. They figured out that's the core of what they do. So Nordstrom's, anyone know Nordstrom's?
What field is this company?
Nordstrom's Marcelina, talk about Nordstrom's. What is it?
It's like a franchise, actually.
So what?
It's not franchise?
No.
No? Nordstrom is a big American brand company where they sell everything in the
Department
mall.
store.
They have whole department store from Nike and kids stuff, jewelry.
Do they make anything? Do they make anything?
manufacture, produce? you mean?
No, they just renting restaurant.
They just sell.
It's like JCPenney.
Yeah, except if you go to Nordstrom and say, I want to return this, they go, fine, even if you didn't buy it there.
Very
Oh,
new.
really? Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I
Zappos.
never packed that.
People know Zappos? Zappos? Shoes?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Shoes. They'll have somebody run out Christmas Eve and grab something and deliver it in their car. I mean, they're nuts. But it has to do with this idea of customer intimacy. So, when somebody says, oh, my company's going to be the number one, and we're going to have the highest quality, and we're going to have great customer support, and we're going to have, well, how do you do that? Well, you do it typically there are other things, but by focusing on either getting your processes right or getting your customer relationship right. We know our customers, we know what they want, we have data on them. It's all about delivering to the customer, making their experience
More easy.
number one. So the reason I brought this shade for that is because that can give you a path to that goal you say. I mean, how do you get that? How do you get customer relationship better? Through training, through databasing, through processes.
Take some information from them. It's like know better the information about them. It's like just to know which products that's matching with them, and it's like.
But the whole purpose is there's some company that just focus on being the best. Now, do they also have operational excellence? Yeah, everybody has to have good operations. And everybody has to have good customer support. But this company is based on mastering the excellence, right? And the other one is on operations. So can anyone think of what the third one, missing piece is?
People management, procurement, product. Oh, okay. Leaders. Oh, leadership.
Leadership.
So, yeah. Yes. I thought at the beginning when you said product, I was going to tell you that this might be related to operational excellence, but when it's leadership, I think it's
New product.
It's innovation.
New product, new feature.
Yeah, it's into innovation more, not into enhancing the current policy.
Yeah. Now I have Eagle Creek bags, suitcases. Love them. Problem is, there's a lot of bags. When they first did their bags, they were the only one producing these kind of bags. So they were surely in the product leadership bag because nobody's made now. Everybody's making those bags. So it's really tough to be a product leadership company in the bag space, the suitcase space, because they're all starting to look alike. But there's still people out there doing it. There's a bag you write on now. Have you seen that? Yeah, it's charge. Get on your bag and write it. There are bags that track themselves, bags that charge everything. There's bags. So there's still people there's a messenger bag that just rolls right to a pack and back. And oh man, it's cool stuff in bags. That's product leadership. But here's the thing about Eagle Creek for life. If it breaks, I just bring it in, they fix it. They'll fix a wheel, they'll fix a zipper. Yeah, I've got two of them for over a decade, and they've been all around. I used to travel 1 to 5 times a month all over the world.
That's hard.
It is hard. Those bags have been everywhere. They've been
I
thrown. They've been,
traveling.
yeah, they've been bad. But the whole point is, they sure know their customers. Even their product design is more based on what the customers want. So rather than saying, you didn't know you needed this, but you do, they're more like, we listened to you, here's what you have. Well, if it's broken, we'll fix it. If you do that. So they've almost gone into this category.
It's more specific.
But if they're able to produce these bags, you know, then the price goes down and the quality goes up. And, you know, if it's all about quality, but this product leadership is new features, new products. Operational excellence is better processes, so costs can go down, quality can go up. All right, why are we talking about this? I'm trying to help you with some objectives, right? She mentioned customer service. That's in this area. Launching a new product, that's an area. Maybe a new office can be for extending operations into, you know, international other places. So that I just wrote those because it can give you some ideas on what kind of things you could do from a marketing team. Open up new markets. You know, you could let your team know, by the way, we're launching this new product. I'm going to need you to back that up this year. Everybody good with the, I feel like you own of what an objective is? It tells people what to focus on in a way they have an idea what they need to do, not just nice words.
Is the objective is time framed?
Can be. Usually it is.
Like the question that you asked in the beginning, what are we going to do next year? When you ask.
Yeah. Well, now the plan is in general. Now the objectives are being specific. You're giving general information. Now you're starting to give specifics. We're going after these. These are the people that are important to us. These are specifically things that are important to us. Okay. Decision making. Ooh. Ooh. What do you think? Decision making.
So, first, an axis for health, life expectancy, from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person.
Let me try it. Okay.
Here we go. First, an axis for health, life expectancy, from 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400,000, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago, in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubbles show the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe! And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up, Brazil was way behind, Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa.
And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future. With aid, trade, green technology and peace, it's fully possible that everyone can make it to the healthy, wealthy corner.
Well, what you just seen in the last few minutes is a story of 200 countries shown over 200 years and beyond. It involved plotting of 120,000 numbers. Pretty neat, huh?
Wow. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a break. But here's what I want you to think about during the break. Is that how you thought the world was? Picture you saw there.
What?
That picture you saw of the world,
Okay.
was that what you thought it would look like? If I'd asked you to draw that chart by yourself without any of this knowledge, is that how you would have put the world? So think about that, because the questions we're going to go is about decision making and why we make bad decisions.
Because we have short of knowledge.
We're going to go, I'm going to give you 2 models on bad decision making when we come back. So go ahead and take a break, then we'll talk about decision making.